Special episode, Gibraltar Intruder double pedal. Are you ready? Good old Java Jive. I am in the process of reworking my double bass drum pedal technique, and I decided to do this video because I've realized that I can't find a lot of material on the pedal that I have. And it's a Gibraltar Intruder pedal from 1993. It's one of the first, it's the first of two that they made. There's 9,000 and something one, and there's a 7,000 and something one. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the one I have and some of the differences of those first two. I believe it's in 1993. This might be part one because I contacted Gibraltar. They were super nice. Public relations is just out of this world with them. And they said, that sounds great, but the pedal you have is like more than 20 years old. We'll see if we have anything available for you. But if you need any parts, let us know. Maybe we can find something in a corner, kind of thing. That was just really nice because it's not at all in production. Far from most pedals today are lightning fast and very light. This pedal is not light at all, but it's very fast. So let's get to it. Let me see here. It's all tangled up anyway. So here is the Gibraltar Intruder pedal. I like to footprint pedal. It's in great working order. This is the double, right, as you can see. Here's the other end, right, and it has the base plate. The other end has the base plate. All the parts are there. Everything is just really well done. Just super awesome. Anyway, so I wanted to do this video, like I said, because I can't find a lot of material on it, and that's why I contacted Gibraltar and said, hey, what am I looking at here? Because I looked at tons of pedals. I looked at the Tama Iron Cobra pedals. I'm coming from Camco, vintage Camco single pedal. It's my go-to pedal in single world. But in the double world, I went to Tama Iron Cobras, the 910s, the 310s, and DWs. Asked some of my friends about that pedal. DW 5000, 4000, 7000, 3000. The Tama Speed Cobra pedal, Axis pedal, Trick pedals, Dixon pedals, the Mapex Falcon pedal, black and green one, I think it's the Falcon pedal. The Yamaha pedals, the higher end DW pedals above the 5000, the crazy ones, the crazy Gibraltar new pedals, which are called I forgot. But there's a direct drive, strap drive, chain drive. So I went through all of these, and I played some at a store here in Paris. Check it out. And as I'm going through all of these things, I'm trying to find information on this, but I'm looking at everything else, and on like eBay, and then just YouTube straight up, and then reviews, drum forums, and I started to realize that apart from one thing, I was like, well, that's cool, but I started to realize that almost everything I have on this pedal, all of the awesome stuff that's on all of these pedals, I was like, well, I got that too. Well, the Intruder has that, and the Intruder has that, and there's only one thing that this pedal doesn't have, that as far as like advancements in sound control, because that's a lot of what double pedal stuff is about, and on top of speed, right? But there's a lot of moving parts with the double pedal. Obviously, you can see there's two moving axes on one pedal. There's 1, 2, 3 parts for bearings, potentially 2 sprockets, 2 springs. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on one pedal, and you can easily get very loud. So this is a thing that a lot of these companies are trying to conquer. Tom is doing it really well. Gibraltar is doing it really well. Pearl is doing it really well. I looked at the Pearl eliminator pedals, denominator pedal, as well. They're all doing it really well. The new ones, I look at the old Iron Cobra pedals. That was one of my first ones I ever played. I just thought it was awesome with the really big wide footboard. I looked at the longboard pedals, notably the Speed Cobra pedal, the extra longboard pedal, the DW pedal, which is interesting too. And then Iron Cobra, before I get into this pedal, there's a new thing now that companies that Iron Cobra at least is starting to do. They're starting to, at the heel plate and the base plate, or the footboard and the heel plate, they're starting to reverse this form. So instead of the fork, I'm calling it the fork, coming down from the footboard, and then the heel plate coming into the fork, it's reversed. So what happens is you get the hinge that is here, right there, you get it back here now, because this big piece here is now on the footboard, and it comes into the heel plate right here, and the heel plate comes up. So you get about, I don't know, this a finger widths more into it increases the footboard length, which is, it's technically still not a long board, but it gets there. It's just a little bit more. So they're thinking about everything. That's on the new Iron Cobra I saw. If you get an Iron Cobra, even just a few years ago, it won't have that. That's the main difference I've recognized, is that the newest Iron Cobra, the footboard, this form here is reversed, right? And so this piece is actually into the heel plate. And if you have heel toe technique, that, and a big foot, that sometimes that much maybe makes a difference. But anyway, the longer the footboard, the faster the pedal feels, I feel. The longboard, the 310 Speed Cobra or 910 is just like phenomenally fast. It's unbelievable, especially heel toe technique. So it's like, it's crazy. And any kind of sliding, but so, but now, before I get into all of the great stuff about this pedal, because I really think it's actually, after looking at all this stuff, I really think that I'm not going to be buying any double pedal. I know some people will be like, are you crazy? That pedal's like 30 years old, you got to be nuts. And I'm going to explain it to you. The only thing this pedal doesn't have, that all of the new pedals have, as far as like I said, sound control, is the spring mechanism. It's classic. but it's really, really well built, but classic. The spring attaches to this piece here, obviously comes down, so it's a really well built spring, not a flimsy spring. Goes through bolts, or goes through nuts. There's a spring washer on each end. There's a spring washer, sorry about this, in here and in there, on top of another washer. So a spring washer is essentially take a washer and cut it right in the center, and then bend one side up. And so when you apply pressure, the spring washer, it springs back, and it locks, supposed to lock the nuts. And so you feel that lockness monster. You feel that if you do it at the same time. You know, you take the pedal like this, and you go like this. You could feel it lock. It won't move anymore. Nowadays, I just tried it on my Camco pedal, because I replaced my Camco, the spring mechanism. I replaced it with the spring lock thing that now the Iron Cobras have, where it's a piece of plastic both sides, and there's a sleeve that fits right over top of this part right there, and it goes like this. And on the bottom, there's a triangular form that this nut turns into it, and so it won't move. It's beautiful, and it's soundless. It's just phenomenal. I tried it on here. It doesn't work because this part on this pedal, okay, coming off of the column, it's tapered, and the taper won't let me put that piece of plastic in properly. So I could actually do it. I would have to cut the plastic sleeve to allow me to get it over top. Actually, now that I think of it, I could just shorten the plastic, cut the plastic sleeve on the edges. That would actually work. But the way it's built for the moment, it won't work like this. So, but looking at this with the spring, I mean, I used this all day yesterday for 6 hours, and it never came undone. But that's not good enough for me, because I've seen that before. So I'm going to keep doing this and see if this comes undone. I'm not a speed demon on double bass, so I'm also, you know, I know, like, let's say Thomas Lang goes crazy on his pedal, he might end up getting this, or Versus you know, or Vinny. They might end up getting this to unwind. I mean, there's some younger speed demons out there too that are just crazy. I'm not doing that with this thing. My approach is a little different, or my interest for the moment is a little different. All in all, I think this is a great system right here. It's soundless, but I think eventually I will modify the Tama spring lock system for this on both ends. Other than that, remember this pedal came out in 1993. Other than that, this pedal is right up there with all of the greats as far as durability and soundproofness, you know, and convenience. I'm just going to go through them. Right here, okay, the first thing you see on this end is you see a key screw right there, a key screw. I call it a key screw. They usually key screws are right here. But anyway, this, as opposed to an Allen screw, right? And yes, as opposed to using an Allen wrench, you can use a regular drum key, and that's burning. That's great. That means you can lean down and do this quickly. Or, I mean, a drum key, everybody has it, but that special Allen key, if it's a special size, you easily lose them. They're black. They get in the bottom of your case. You can't find them. You mix them up with other ones, being a millimeter apart in size. So that's really nice. Number two is that the key screw pushes into, it screws into a bar here that is flat, that receives it properly. You can see how it's flat right there. Like the bars just went shaved off. So that's really good, that it won't slip. There are pedals. I was just working on a pearl pedal 2 days ago, and this part had come loose, and I'd taken it apart and realized why. Because the bar here was rounded. They hadn't taken off the top like that, and so you screw into a round bar, obviously it slips, and that's what had happened. So this never slips. Never slips. If I'm stupid and crank this key screw weight too much, then I'm going to destroy probably the key screw before I destroy the inside of this. But, you got to understand how to deal with, you're not supposed to over screw stuff. But anyway, you get my gist. So this on top of the fact that this bar has a shaved top to it is exactly what it should be on a high-end pedal. Won't ever move, and it's soundproof. You can move this screw here that accepts this spring ring right there, whatever you call that. There's 3 holes, so you can do that classic adjustment of angle of the beater, just like a centimeter of difference. So it's like, instead of being here, it's in the middle, it'd be here, or it would be the other way back there. Moving on, that's with this part, so this is impeccable. Moving on, let's turn it like this. Moving on, you see that, first of all, the form here, on the normal pedal, it would be like that. Right? So, on these 2 sides here, it comes up, it's this, and comes in like this. That's good for room when you're on the pedals on the floor. That little extra part right here is nice on the other pedal. It leaves a little bit more room when you're putting it next to your hi-hat stand. But the construction of the metal, I don't know what it is, the composite, but it's super heavy. It's like, I don't want to say die cast, but it's unbelievably heavy. And that's why I asked Gibraltar, it's like, what am I looking at? What is this? It feels like the black roughness of the DW 5000. It's not smooth aluminum. It's certainly not aluminum. If it is, I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's really, really heavy. So I'm very interested to know what it is. This, everything that you see that's metal is of the same grade of metal. Even this part right here, which typically on new pedals is not. Typically, maybe this would be aluminum right here now, and this might be a piece of chrome metal, steel, chromed. Now this pedal, all of it is of this heavy gauge metal, which I don't know what it is, and I'd like to know. And it just feels like it's just not moving an inch. We're looking at 30 years, and it's not rusted out, and it's in place. It's great. So I'm noticing something. Oh, that's interesting. I was talking about that. The bar right there is like a super steel bar going, stop sign, it's not just a cylinder. There's a stop sign. What is that, hexagonal, I guess? Octet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided, right? So it's not hexagon, I forget, I'm not good with geometry. Anyway, it's 6-sided bar all the way through. There's another one that starts here and goes to here, and in this these 3 spots here, there are there's a ball bearing system, which takes away the sound. You're hearing the thing on the board. Hold on. If this was on a piece of on the carpet, see that? You're not hearing. It's 30 years old, this pedal. You're not hearing. I'm hearing a little bit of the spring mechanism. But when I move this, okay, there's not any sound. I mean, you might hear yeah, you have this. Okay, this is what engineers don't like today, and this is what the new generation doesn't like today, and the new generation in the industry doesn't like today. You have a little bit of hinge noise right here, okay? And now the new pedals, they don't have that kind of give and take of the, it's not, you could probably fix that if I took that off, but I'd have to bust the rivet and put, if I really was just a crazy person and I want to take this rivet off, bust it off and put a nut and a bolt there, and put a rubber or a leather washer here and here, you would get rid of that sound. But I don't care about that sound. Because if, let's see, your foot is on here. The bottom is hitting the pad. That's what's making that other sound. See, there's nothing. Okay. So, what was I saying? You were hearing about the sound. So but the metal. So just talking about the metal, it's brilliantly made, and it's as it's heavy. It feels like metal of a bridge or something. It's just heavy gauge steel. I don't know what it is. I'd like to know. But anyway, so I'm forgetting what I was saying. Bearings, right? Here, and here. You don't hear any of them moving around like this. I haven't taken it apart, but I assume it's just as good as everything else here I'm looking at. You have, moving on, you have the obvious, one of the great obvious things you see immediately is the chain here is like the size of a bike chain, which they don't do anymore. And I really like that. I love that, actually. I saw it the first time, I was like, that's interesting. But they don't do it anymore. And I like that. My Camco pedal has a smaller gauge, the typical gauge chain link system here. And it's cool. I'm used to that. This is the first pedal I've had actually large chain like this. And I dig it because I find that I can see I can see its quality. I can see whether it looks like it's going to break or not. Or I like, it's reassuring. It's reassuring to see this big chain here. I can see the state that it's in. When those little chains, when you're throwing it in and out of a bag and stuff, little cracks and little bends and stuff, you can't really see as close as much. And nobody's really ever seemed to complain about them. But this is just really nicely, it's just really reassuring. And I'm starting to think that because the links are larger, it's kind of approaching a direct drive. It's not, obviously, but the chains, there's less movement in the chain. I mean, you have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 links of movement, as opposed to those little chains where you have like 20, right? So there's less movement in the big chain than there is in the little chain. So it approaches something that moves with the beater, something that I kind of want to say it's like, maybe it's like a strap drive between a chain and a strap drive. The fact that it's bigger links, I don't know. I think that it has a gliding kind of feel to it that I like anyway. But aside from that, it's just really reassuring to see this big chunky chain there. It's really great. I took off the last one of the links here and raised up the footboard. I like to have the footboard higher, as you can see. Something else that you see some pedals do, I saw a Gretsch pedal and a Ludwig pedal do this, that they don't do anymore. There's no sprocket on the pedal or on the other one. There's no sprocket. See that? There's no sprocket. So, right here, talking about right here. So, what happens is, why is that cool? Well, because in a sprocket on a bass drum pedal, the chain hitting the sprocket makes a sound. You'll hear the chain rub up against the sprocket as the beater comes back. Here, there isn't any. You're hearing the pedal. You're still. Every once in a while you hear that thing right there. It's because I moved the pedal up and the chain, I moved it so high up I have to adjust it a little bit that the chain is actually bumping into the back end here. But once your foot is down there, you never actually get that hit because the weight of your foot always keeps it at a certain spot. Anyway, so there's no chain rubbing up against the sprocket, which makes the sound. And when you have like Iron Cobra pedals, there's no sprocket. It's just a glide. I think they even call it roller glide or glide pedal or something like that. Power glide. So there's no the chain isn't going over top of a sprocket. Over top of a sprocket. However, the chain is might bump up against the wall of the power glide right there. Anyway. This is one of the things that's really nice about that contributes to the soundless thing about this pedal. See that? It's just awesome. You kind of have to accept the shape of this, what this is. But again, this kind of, because you have to accept it, it kind of makes like a strap. See that? I'd be interested to see some, engineering observations about what that does to the speed and everything. It just pulls it around. Very much like a direct drive pedal. Very much like a direct drive. So it's this, it's very much like a direct drive with the chain. It's strange. But it works out beautifully. I don't know why they actually stopped it. No, I think I do, actually. Because this system really demands super heavy gauge metal, I assume, to pull it without breaking eventually or bending right here. And without breaking that hole where the chain is, going into this piece of metal. Because nowadays pedals, the whole idea is let's make everything as light as possible. So a lot of this is all in aluminum. I think my Camco pedal is in aluminum, even though it's a vintage pedal, which makes it so nice. It's all in aluminum, except for the chrome parts here, and here the sprockets, metal, steel. So essentially, it's like putting a truck engine in a small car. You have a ton of horsepower moving a piece of aluminum, so it's very fast. You can go very fast with it, as opposed to this where everything feels like heavy gauge metal, it's more like, I like to think like Rocky IV. It's more that vibe. You know, really, you know, walking through snow this high with the wood over top of your shoulder. It's like this kind of feel. It's very, very 70s, very, very Rocky IV, even though I think Rocky IV was in the 80s. Anyway, moving on, there's still more about this pedal. Here, on the back end, you see kind of old school approach. You see Phillips screws here with special washers. Yeah, right there. There's two. I think they did it that way because they really want this part right here, which has another bearing, another set of bearings on disc, you know, inside a disc. They really want this closed permanently. So I think that's why they opted for that. They don't want you to be able to, they don't want to tempt you to undo that with like a drum key. On this side, just subtopic. This side there's a screw that needs an Allen wrench. So I don't know if, since I got this, I found this and put that in there, this key screw, and it just fit, or if it came like that, I don't know. But the fact that I can do it here makes me want to put another one right here. So I will probably do that too. Same cut too on that end right here. You can even, you can even see it right there. It's flat. Awesome. Not done yet. What was I going to say about this? This part, the part that hooks the bass drum pedal to the bass drum hoop. Now, there's a picture that I found of one of the only descriptions that I found of this pedal, the Intruder pedal, with Omar Hakim, and he's holding it up. He's really young at that time. He's holding it up, like he's going like this behind his kit. And you see the mechanism that Gibraltar was pushing at the time. I remember this, where you had the wing nut up here, and you would turn it like this. Hold on a second. I was saying, Omar Hakim, you had the wing nut up here, and so you could, it was this big, there was a wing nut and a bar that came down, and it looked kind of like out of place, but it seemed to work well. You could just tighten the bass drum pedal on top of the bass drum pedal instead of getting your hand underneath, which you get tangled up easily. And when it's dark, stages tend to be dark when you're putting, anyway. But this system down here with the wing nut down there, it doesn't bother me. I really don't care. As long as it works, If I gotta take an extra little move to get it in there, I don't care. But this one, there's a special thing with this system that's really awesome. And so you have the typical wing nut screw that pushes down, that pivots this forward. But right here, look at this. Right here, you have something. Look at that, a little different. You have an extra part, a screw that pushes this little square here down even more. So it seems to, I found that useful when I put on the hoop. When I put on the bass drum pedal, I put it on, tighten this down, and then tighten this down. It just seems, when you do it, you go, yeah, that makes sense, kind of thing. And then I realized that before we all had wooden hoops on our bass drums, right? There was a time when they were not all wooden hoops, when they were metal hoops. Inside the metal hoop, on the inside, it goes in, doesn't go out. It goes, so the hoop will go like that. So this part actually would be beneficial for that kind of situation, because that piece feels like it would go inside that spot that went down. Maybe not on all hoops, but anyway, you just do it and you go, yeah, that does make sense. The screw and this whole thing is made with the same kind of metal that the rest of the pedal is made with. So it just seems like really, really well thought out and super strong. Really great. What else to say with this? On the spurs here, they have the springs on the screw, which is cool. That keeps that screw from coming undone as you're playing. It's not, unbelievably necessary, but it's still a nice little plus. And those kind of pluses are what you get with a higher end level pedal. These beaters are not, just to let you know, they're not the ones that came with the pedal. These are pearl beaters, double-sided pearl beaters. I don't know what to do about that. I think I'm gonna I like the classic big felt beater, the white ones that have been played probably by most people. I like those. So I think I'm gonna get those. The drive shaft is in not so good condition, but it still works. It's a little bent. You can see it right there. But all the screws and all of the linkage is in really good shape. So you could hear it. And none of the screws are stripped. So we're talking like 30 years old, 93, 2003, almost 20 years old, right? So for a pedal almost 20 years old, and it's still functioning, and it's still functioning in a sense where it's not making noise, is really, really good. So after looking at all these pedals, then I'm starting to say, this pedal is awesome. It has everything that I'm gonna want from another pedal. So I have opted to give this one a little bit more love instead of throwing it away or selling it. And I bought this for 70 euros. So if you get your hands on one of these, the original Intruder, you are going to be delightfully satisfied by the quality, the build quality, and assuming that nobody treated it really bad, by the build quality and the efficiency of the whole thing. It's definitely, however, it's definitely not a light pedal. It's a heavy pedal. I hear a lot of on forums, and I can vouch for this too. Some people have broken the footboard. I haven't, but it has happened, and the footboard has just snapped in half on a first level, entry level sonar pedal. The one that was straight, and then there was a ball, and then straight, or not a ball, but a circle. I saw that break. So that does happen. I can vouch for that. This one, I don't see how it's going to do that. I don't see any particular spot where there's stress build up. On that sonar one, it literally was like a rectangle and an angle into a circle, and then another angle and down. There was nothing tapered nicely like this, like a lot of pedals do. And that's how it broke, I think. I don't know. I want to say that the shape under here contributes to the strength of the pedal, the form that you see there, but I don't know. Anyway, that's what the underside looks like. You can judge for yourself. And it's just awesome. So resuming, what does this pedal not have? I'd say three things. It's not light. It's not made out of aluminum. I'm thinking negatives. It's not made out of aluminum. The heel plate to the footboard, the hinge, can make a little bit of sound. You could easily repair that for $5 if you really want. If that really concerns you, put a screw. Take out the screw with the rivet. Put a screw, and then put either plastic, leather, or rubber washers in there. It's $5, 10 max. The spring system, is not only does it not have like the Tama Iron Cobra plastic sleeve that the nut fits into, but now this is a big one actually. Now this spring goes into a screw, a hole in a screw, and that screw literally spins around inside the shaft here. So what happens is now the spring on the bottom here, it becomes like it takes on like a pendulum motion. So the whole spring mechanism is moving from this point down, and pendulum starts here, and you'll on the DW 5000. The big difference is the new ones, they've included this. On the Tama Iron Cobras, it's not. It pivots on this piece right here. There's not a screw going in. I don't believe. It just is cut out so the spring mechanism can do that pendulum motion within that spot right there. That's thought of to help protect your spring from breaking, and it takes away noise. Although it does add noise if it's not, greased up properly. The diagrams they show about speed and motion and stuff, it seems to contribute to the speed of the pedal because the spring isn't fixed. And when the spring is fixed, there's a tension. The tension when you press down is not maintained at the same degree all the way through until the note. When the spring is fixed, from what I remember, when it's not fixed and it's allowed to do the pendulum motion down here, it maintains the same tension throughout, instead of gradually getting harder. I think that's what that is. This one gradually gets harder, but we're talking like gradually getting harder. It's like if you're thinking, this is the other argument, the other discussion. If you're playing, if the difference between you being a good bass drum pedal player, and a bad one are these minute details, you're not really, that's really going a little too far for me. If you're hiding behind the fact that this spring doesn't have the pendulum motion on the bottom, and that's why you can't play, that's a little too far for me. I don't need that. Drummers, Buddy Rich didn't need that. Sonny Payne didn't need that. Louis Belson didn't need that. Vinnie Colaiuta didn't need that. Chad Wackerman didn't need that. Dave Weckl, Steve Gadd, Billy Cobb, Elvin Jones. There's, what I'm saying? So Jeff Boccaro didn't need that. James Gadsden, Jim Keltner, there's all these, John Bonham, Mitch Mitchell, Keith Moon. They didn't need this. Ian Paice, Carmen Appice, come on. So, but that's the way the industry is today, and it is nice. It is a nice feature, but we're talking about when you get into a pedal of that quality, the pedals become $500. We're talking like pedals that are $300 plus, and the major DW pedals, they're like $1,000, $800 for double pedal system. So what do you have with this? You have a very, very high level pedal with features that are of the highest quality, minus this pendulum thing, minus this hinge problem sound that you can get rid of for $10, with a fixed chain, I do admit, but you can change the length of the chain if you want to. I mean, there's no sprocket though, which is nice. I mean, when you look at it, I'm basically looking at a pedal that has almost all of the features of the high-end pedals today, but in a heavier fashion. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you are you have a heavy foot, and you keep breaking your pedals, get this one, or ones like it, that are heavier, so you will break them. But this one, looking at it and going through all of the videos and everything, I'm starting to realize that I'm not going to give this up, and I'm not going to get a new pedal. I'll do some slight modifications. So I spent €70 on the whole thing, and let's say if I do €10 here, 2 beaters, classic, maybe what, $20 for the simple classic ones. I don't need something crazy. This, if I do the new Tama tension lock system, if this doesn't work, those are 8, so 8, 16, 20, 16, what was I saying, 20, it's $40, $50 in everything. That's if I want to. I don't even have to. I'm not going to do this. I don't need to, because I don't care about that. This, if it works, which I think it's going to work, but we'll see. To be honest, the first thing I think I will change are the beaters and this part. So we're looking at $20. $20. So now we're looking at something. I'm still under 100 euros. I got it for 70. Add $20 more, I'm at 90, and I got a pedal that can compete with the highest end pedals out there. Somebody might say, well, it's super heavy. Yeah, but not heavy enough to, we're talking like, if you're going to hide behind that, I mean, your technique, no, that doesn't fly with me. But I'm not going speed demon stuff, So if you want to know, here it is. There's the lowdown, the big shebang, on the original Intruder pedal. Now, this video might turn into a part 2, because I've since then, Gibraltar said, what they said to me, and said, can you send me a picture so we can see? I think they wanted to see if I was talking the real deal or not. So if they respond back and give me the specifications of this pedal, there will be a part 2. So if you find this, or if you do find like advertisements that show specifications of this pedal, put them in the comments section. I'd love to read about it, because I'm just bedazzled at the build quality of this. Unbelievable. Oh, there's also, I'm looking at this thing. I'm going to get, these are the key screws right there, 1 and 2. So I'm missing one there, and I'm missing one there. Those cost, a pack of 3 costs like €3. So I've already found an 8mm by 14mm right there. That's nothing. Pearl gives you a pack of 3. So again, pedal is sick. The left pedal is awesome. It's the same thing. It's the same build quality. Everything is the same. So there it is. Gibraltar Intruder. Beast of a pedal. Hands down, a beast of a pedal. Hope you all are doing well and safe in this world today. And more soon. Best to everybody. Happy drumming.